Back to the desk. I know you guys don't listen when we have the light show, but all three of us, every single time we go to the desk,
Let's go karaoke.
we make a lot of karaoke. Okay, first game of the day. It's going to be Dusty versus Vanir. I would like to know why this game is so interesting and important for both teams.
I mean, the first thing is the standings, right? Because we saw the standings like, ooh, this is potentially Dusty making a run towards top something, maybe even
playoffs?
So, well, I think playoffs, I mean, if they win this, you've got to put them into the equation. You know, you have to at that point. Getting that head-to-head over Vanir, crazy in terms of the stakes to start off.
Yeah, and I think we also need to give a little bit of context of how Dusty has done historically in the NLC. Because to be honest, they've been very close to relegation plenty of times. They've been towards the bottom end of the table plenty of times. And now coming into this season, we didn't necessarily have the most expectations. Of course, seeing how the team performs, and especially I'm going to put my finger on Viking. I think Viking has had some exceptional games. He's also had games where he legitimately solo carried his team to victory. The one that comes in mind was that Rek'Sai game where he hadn't died at all. He didn't need anyone's backup. He was just running in, taking the kill, getting back, and his team could get 3 objectives out of this. And then we were like, okay, this is not enough. Viking just solo carrying and solo running away with the game is just not enough for Dusty. Buckland needs to back him up. They need to be that mid-jungle duo that everyone fears. And when it came to them being the mid-jungle duo that everyone fears, these guys on your screen pop off.
Yeah, and I think we've seen, like, you know, another dimension to Dusty. They aren't just the jungle, like you were saying. I think actually we haven't even mentioned Elif as well in the equation. His Aatrox of games have been fantastic, but the last game they played was all starting from that bot lane, from Venza and from FGG. Now, I didn't necessarily think that was where the victory was going to come from. They've struggled a fair bit this split. Venza somehow ends up in the enemy backline every so often in fights.
He took the assassin emblem off this time.
Absolutely. He just occasionally just hops over to the other side of the field. But if we're going to focus down on this bot lane duo, we have to focus in on FGG, because for me, FGG has such a great story as well. For those of you that don't know the story of FGG, last split, he did feature in the NLC. He also featured in the UKLC, which is 2 tiers below Intelia, and also featured 2 steps below that, not even the UKEL, but in the qualifiers for it. He jumped up 4 damn divisions to get to this level, and a split later, he's pulling out performances like this against an 8-2 Bifrost. It's so hard to not get attached to this guy's story. It is so emotive to see a player go from his first amateur split into the levels of performance that we saw on Monday.
And I think it also speaks miles to what Viking has said, right? He said when Dusty is on a good day, we can be top 3. And they actually solidified his statement by actually beating a top 3 team in the likes of Bifrost. And what is even more impressive is that it came off of the back of Venza and mainly FGG. I think his engages on the rel were instrumental and absolutely demolished Bifrost. The only fight they lost the entire game was when FGG was zoned out of the fight. Every single other fight was absolutely done for when it came for Bifrost, because FGG was getting engaged after engaged after engaged. And you can also see in his stats right here, his kill participation, 82.6%. He stayed in lane for as long as he stayed in lane, but after this, it was just him start to finish.
And it's a support life. Nobody notices you, and when you get the engages, you notice him, and finally he's popping off, and the meme is gone. It's no longer the on a good day we went no. Finally we get the real Dusty. And what about the other side?
So this is obviously a very important match in terms of standings for Dusty. It's also a very important match in terms of standings for Vanir on the other side of the rift, because Vanir, they've kind of, for me, now, I mean, obviously in terms of the standings, but in my mind as well, in my power rankings, replaced M&M as the solid 4th place team. I think that we've seen an evolution from this team in the way that you often do across splits, where Vanir have kind of overcome the mid-game, which they've been struggling with, where they've managed to have this very, very precise early game, like a scalpel, getting into the right lanes, Noodle leading the charge, but now we've seen extra factors from them. They've kind of adjusted the way that they're going towards team compositions. Yesterday, particularly against M&M, they didn't just go on the offensive in the mid-game, they kind of saw the situation for themselves and allow the enemy team to engage into them and punish it. They did really, really well understanding their place in the game and playing towards it.
And I think this also has to do a lot with Zahira as well, because he is usually the guy that's going to be targeted level 2. I don't think there's been a single game of Vanir that we've seen that Zahira has not been ganked level 2 by enemy jungler, and he's so good at evading his deaths at this point. A few of the other games that were sort of towards the start of the split, he was dying and he was put in mid lane a little bit behind, and then this is where we saw sort of the slump into the mid game from Vanir trying to come back from that deficit, but right now there's no deficit. My only asterisk, I think, for Vanir that's been there since the start is that a lot of times their compositions are not the easiest to execute, which is where mid game becomes a little bit tricky to figure out how they want to play it, but then every single time they will draft towards a lot of scaling in the late game. This is where we see the individual skill pop off once the items and the damage has come through.
And this is why we have Kivo now in terms of stats. He's popping off as well.
I talked about damage and individual skill, and Kevo pops up in the back.
What do we talk about this player?
In the last 3 games, if you want to talk execution and talk about consistency from the players on Vanir, this is the player you've got to look at. 2 deaths in 3 games. Now, of course, the game before that was the one against X7 where they got absolutely demolished. So that's kind of like a little asterisk on it again. But against everyone else, Kevo on 2 games of Zerion, I believe it's 1 game of Jinx as well, has been the key part of this composition that Vanir have been playing around. He's been very poised in the team fights, getting involved, and putting out massive amounts of damage as well. Very hard to lock this player out of the game.
So these are 2 teams almost fighting for the same spot. Week 6, day 2. It's not that early in the league anymore, so we're trying to solidify now the standings. And we finally get access to the first champion select of the day, Vanir versus Dusty. In terms of picks and bans, where should we focus? Because the bot lane is finally really important for both teams.
Well, I would have said the Jarvan first, because both teams really like playing around that. Or rather, like, it kind of fits the MO, right? I mean, Viking moved away slightly from the Hecarim, which we'd known Dusty and particularly Eminem to go towards, started picking up a little bit more of the Jarvan and Vanir, just saying, you know what? Let's just not give the mid jungle an ability to play early. Let's not give them the ability to level 2 mid on Zahira.
I would honestly probably really like to see the LeBlanc being the last ban here from Vanir, because here doesn't necessarily play the LeBlanc. And Buckland is just really good at playing the champion and following through with Viking's plays. It has been left open. So here in my head, I am thinking Hecarim, I'm thinking Lee Sin, and I'm thinking also LeBlanc for the side of Dusty. Now, of course, it's not anymore, like we mentioned, the strongest part in the team. But the bottle of Dusty stepped up once. For me personally, it is still the core of the team for the sort of Dusty. Now here, you gotta take a gamble, because Noodle loves Xin Zhao. If Xin Zhao is left open, Vanir will most likely first pick it right here, because he's also so good at utilizing it in the early game.
Yeah, we have, like, I mean, that's another thing as well, though, because Venza has been...
Oh, it's sorry, yeah.
Because Venza has been also a good player of the Jinx too. This is a very highly contested pick, and what happens with the Jinx is that because you have, you know you have the winning DPS in terms of AD carry role. Aphelios can do some stuff, and that's a great hover. It would be awesome if they did. I know how much this means to you, but we don't. Sadly, it's a bit of a cardinal sin.
It's a hover. It's okay. They're baiting you. They're baiting.
But when you're playing something like the Jinx, you know that you're not going to lose in terms of your AD carries DPS. So you know that you can start drafting front to back and largely come out on top. Xin Zhao and Gwen are 2 somewhat answers to that because of the Gwen W and the Xin Zhao ultimate. So locking that in for the side of Viking and also take away for the side of Noodle, it is important.
Now this is dangerous, because Dusty are indicating we want to play bot side of the map. And yes, we did mention that Twisted Fate got nerfed, but he still has a lot of power with his early ultimate and his gold cards to make the transition towards the bot lane and ruin your day. If a Caitlyn / whatever else lane falls behind, it's just so difficult to get it back online, especially when you're playing against the Jinx. And I just really love the pivot right here to Karma, because if you choose the Morgana, Karma does really well against it. If you choose the Lux, Karma does really well against it.
Okay, I disagree with that. I think that Karma often dies against the Lux, because you walk up into a brush, you get bound, and then you get trapped.
I'm sorry, but you don't walk into the brush.
But you can say that, like, I mean, you've seen lanes in the LCK, Lux has been doing well into Karma as well. What I like is that it gives you the priority, almost guaranteed. If you don't die, the minions are going to be under towered. That's great for you. I'm just worried if Dusty do play as well as they did on the Monday and FGG turns up, whether this could end up being a kill lane if they find the right support pick.
So, I was about to say
There you go.
Why I really like the Karma in general is just because she gives that movement speed, and it's not a Karma Ezreal lane where the Ezreal can stay on his own in lane against all the bindings. It's just a cane shift away. Karma does give you that a little bit more of movement speed for the Jinx to get away from these bindings and sticky situations. What it doesn't protect you from, though, is the long range E that will slow you down, that will allow the Caitlyn to put down the poke, and there's only so much your shield can protect you from. So I still favor the set of Dusty. I just want to see what they're going to choose to put around it. Viking was haunted last time they played the Caitlyn down bot lane from that gangplank, so they take it out of the picture straight away.
One thing which I'm actually now interested in seeing as well, because often when we see Enchanter versus Enchanter is, are we going to see red into level bot? It's easier to do that from blue side because geographically you're closer. Obviously, the Volleybet is someone that can get level 2, get that stun, flash onto them. Potentially an option there. Xin Zhao on the other side, though, I mean, it's a very LPL thing to do. You take red, even on red side, you run the entire length of the map, and you still gang bot anyway.
Yep.
That has been the aggressive way to deal with this lane. You can also do level 1s as well, in terms of walk into those brushes, secure vision, make sure that your Enchanter is the one that can take the front bush, or at least gain that kind of that slight vision advantage. There's a lot of side bonus benefits and advantages you can find in the very early game with these lanes.
I just really like the fact here, back on draft, that Dusty is taking away globals. They're taking away the Rise, that can get priority in the mid lane, and Insta roam, something that can really ruin, again, a Caitlyn Lux lane. You do not have the luxury of having global pressure from your opponents when you want to play a lane where you're technically underneath enemy tower 24/7, or at least that's where you want to be playing with that much poke, right? So I'm wondering here, is this going to be something potentially coming in from Buckland like a Victor, something like an Orianna, something that wants to pressure? Another thing that comes to mind is, again, the Twisted Fate. You want to play for Caitlyn Lux, you could potentially look at the Twisted Fate. It has been banned. I love the Zoe hover here too if he gets locked in, because he gets a bunch of prior in the mid lane, and she also complements the more poke style that you have later on once the Caitlyn is unlocked from lane. The AP damage coming in from the Zoe, the AD damage coming in. Or if somebody gets 1 CC on them, they're 100% dead.
Okay, so Orianna is not bad into the Zoe here. If you could possibly make Rumble work, it would be the best Rumble composition to play into.
Sorry, man, it's not MC.
But it's not MC. What we tend to see into the Zoe and stuff is stuff that can very instantly, when she hops forward, just blam, burst them out. So something like the Syndra, like the Orianna, they've kind of been the Showmaker style answer towards the Zoe. We even saw that even back in the World Finals, actually, in the semi-finals. Ornn was the last real top lane, backline access pick if you don't want to blind pick a Rumble, which is, in fairness, normally a way to really hard lose lane. It's completely understandable. Normally that's been the Elif special, however, and he's very happy to play this Aatrox into it.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind the Gragas here instead of the Aatrox. I feel it's much more
It fits the team combo.
Because you don't necessarily have any hard engage, but the second somebody gets slightly slowed from a Lux E or gets engaged upon by a Xin Zhao, you have so much pressure into throwing the backline towards you. And I think the Syndra is very vulnerable in such a team fight. You overstep your boundaries, 1 cask is all it takes, 1 Sleepy Trouble Bubble, 1 Lux E slow. I am a huge fan of the Dusty composition right here.
Okay, I'm going to have one hot take here. If there is not a level 2 that works out from Vanir on bot lane, Dusty, you're going to win. I think you need to shut down the Kate Lux very, very early on. You have a slim window of time to do it. But if that doesn't work out, you're in really dire straits.
That's your prediction. I would like to get yours as well, Trouble, before the game starts.
I'm leaning towards Dusty. I think if it goes to very, very, very late game, I think Vanir have a bunch of avenues of playing front to back. But I just really like the creativity and the way that Dusty want to play this game. And I'm a big Elif fan when he plays Gragas.
There we go. And the teams are ready to start this one up. It's the first game of the day, week 6, day 2. It is time to pass it over to Hiprain in Goldberg.
Thank you very much, Arkarom. Hello and welcome to the caster desk. We're getting ready to go into our first game of the day. Goldberg, we were watching that champ select and you were very vocal with me about that bot lane. So I'm just going to kind of pass the ball over to you. Talk to me about these bot lanes.
Yeah, okay, so if we want to add that, or what do you say, dissect what really happened in that draft phase, it's kind of like, I love the fact that they third ban Aphelios on blue side, because they realistically speaking go, either you ban Jinx now, or we're just going to first pick it. And then that leaves you with the option of contesting that if we want to play for bot side, which you quite often want with Vince on Dusty, they go for the Caitlyn. Then the adaptation comes through, we'll take the Karma. Why Karma, you suddenly say? Well, Karma is one of the few support that actually helps take control of the lane against the Caitlyn, who's usually so good at actually taking that control of the lane. And now pair that up with the Jinx, you have the Q for the rocket to just get AoE damage for the first early waves, which means you can actually contest the pick that is Caitlyn on the waves. Then Lux comes in, and I'm just going to be speaking with intent ready to throw it over to you.
No, don't worry about it.
But it's not going to be anything. It's just going to be a slight little 1v1 coming in here, or level 1 coming in here. I think the combo is great with the shielding as well. It allows you to play around the bindings from the side of Lux, but inevitably, Georgia had a great point as well, which is that long-range E from the Lux. It is difficult to get out, and that is how you bait the shield. So it does come down to execution, but I think Vanir has some tools to stabilize this Jinx with having it paired up with a Karma. And I don't necessarily think just yet it needs to come down to a specific level 2, just because of the fact that these games are not always as black and white as we would love them to be.
Yeah.
There is the human error element as well, and when you have an on in the enemy team, when you have to pick composition with a Syndra as well, you never really know what's going to happen in the mid lane. So having that vision control is going to be super key if you get a leader Dusty, because we've seen them so many times throw a lead away.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can see from where the junglers are starting on the map, they're both starting topside, which means they'll be clearing downwards. So I expect to see some early action heading towards this bot side of the map. Just saying, pretty standard start to the lane. Like, obviously, got a lot of range here with the Caitlyn and the Lux.
And I actually think just taking a look at that bot lane is the most pivotal in laning phase here, because we want to see who's taking control of it. We want to see who's going to have to push advantage. And right now you can see it's not really being a stack wave right now. Yes, it does get pushed in, and it is Venser and FGG with the most forward percentage in lane right now, meaning that they're the one pushing in. But it's not a stacked lane. It's not you stacking up 3 waves, then suddenly hammer down plates on the enemy or poking them out of lane, which is great to see. And that's once again why we have the Karma to kind of stabilize with the Jinx, taking care of the wave and contesting on that front.
So Elif getting pretty heavily bullied out, but talking a little about his top lane, it's Gragas. He's a brilliant weak sider. He's got the sustain. He's got the wave clear. He'll be A-OK up there. And realistically, I mean, you're playing into an Ornn. Like, Ornn does a lot of damage, but I think you have to make a pretty big fumble to get caught out and die in this in a 1v1.
I actually love how these champions were picked as well, because Nilly on the Ornn against the long range of the enemy carries, you know, the Zoe, the Lux, the Caitlyn, they're going to be trying to attack you from far away. So having that long range Ornn ultimate is really what helps you out. And then the last pick that comes through with the Gragas, that's the disengage factor you get as well, because you don't necessarily need to go for an engage with this composition. If you can pressure out your opponent, if you can play around with being first on the objective and the long range, then all you really need is just a Gragas cast as a disengage.
Yeah.
Yes, you can use it as an engage tool. I'm not ruling that out, but I love the fact that they realize they need some disengage because they don't have too much in the long range against the Ornn, for example.
And realistically, I think we see Dusty being a group up and siege team. They've got a lot of long range poke. They've got the big range to work with. So the disengage is wonderful for a team who do want to be, you know, sieging and poking. It means if they do jump in, then for a world of hurt. But might have to keep our eyes on the bot lane because both junglers have shown up here. Although not entirely sure if Viking was seen. I believe there was a ping that went down. So yes, there's a ward there just outside the bush. So they did see Viking move through. So everyone went, right, it's 3 versus 3. Let's not take this.
Yeah, Viking hasn't actually cleared his Wolf and Grump just yet, though. So Noodle's going to go for the back way before the other Sin Sao here. Noodle just cancelled his back, but I do believe he will go back in this run. No, he's actually staying around.
Ooh.
They may catch one out here on a recall timer. No.
Okay. Well, they know he's there as well. He's probably just going to clear up towards his crab because Viking did do the crab before making his way bot lane. Noodle, this is the true Chad play as a jungler, just walking through mid lane, showing yourself up. He does have flash actually, and Backland might have to go for a flash himself. The flash scatter of the week will come out, and Backland also going to have to burn his flash. So both mids now flashless, means they're both susceptible for getting ganked.
That's kind of an investment play as well, because as you said yourself,
It's a hard word.
Exactly. Why would you use that? They're both able to get ganked right now. Backland's most likely just going to TP back into the lane. Sahira, he's going to be trying to take care of this wave and then back and TP himself. Noodle still haven't backed yet, so if this becomes a 2v2 with Viking moving up as well, it will favor Dusty. Although,
oh my word, Elif is going very, very low. Gets a bit of a heal up as he takes a sip of the drink, but in comes Noodle with a flash and finds himself an easy first blood for Vanir.
Aleb getting a bit too aggressive there. Viking was making his way up there, but inevitably all too late.
Good shielding coming in. Does look like bot lane should be okay down here. It's getting a little hairy there for Kevo, but he's A-okay.
And just like that, wave in a good position for Aleb, but Nilla will just be expending his own TP. All he has to be wary about is Viking around the vicinity. But then again, you're on, and you do have flash. So even if you are overextended, I do believe he should be able to get out of there and out of sight. Mid laners, both of them right now have been expending their teleports, as we talked about. So obviously, Unleashed TP is not available before the 14-minute mark either. So it's very much about just gaining that mid lane priority and transferring it elsewhere. And you can already see now, Sahira, he's moving down bot side, and he's actually not spotted on any wards just yet.
Yeah, he hasn't been seen at all, and there's no wards placed down by Dusty. I think FTG is going to put a pink there, so they do know that they at least got a little bit of vision to work with on that side. But you do have to be a little careful if you are Dusty. Obviously, playing very far up means that you are open to these ganks. And a little bit of poke coming out from SGG, nothing too major.
Let's try and take stock at what's actually happened so far, because look at the AD carry deficit in the farm right now for Kevo. He's sitting at 29, while Venser is at almost 50, 6 minutes into the game. And I don't actually know what this means for the gold.
Nice bubble there from Backland. I don't think he's going to be able to get any additional damage. Just wanted to burn that exhaust. Viking stealing away some of Noodle's farm here. We were talking that Viking was a little bit slower on the play to Noodle. Noodle actually didn't go for that earlier reset and decided to gank every lane on his way up before going for a reset himself. Has now got the cooldown boots finished up, or it's a pickaxe for Viking. But you can see the bot lane, Ven's are probably just wanting to farm. He's got the cull in the inventory, just wanting to play this a little bit more chill, get some items. We know that Caitlyn is a champion who wants multiple items before she really spikes. Obviously, the addition of Gale Force does speed up a little bit and alleviate some of that, but we might have a bit of some action. The Dragon here, as Noodle's coming in, looking to go for the steal, and it looks like Dusty is just going to have to give this one up, although Backland's making his way forward, isn't able to steal it, finds the sleep, but here comes Nilly with the Call of the Forge God. They're going to find all of the CC necessary, and Kevo will find the second kill for Vanir, but we're not done yet, because now he's under fire. Venza will secure a kill in return.
Yeah, Kevo not ready for them to be down there in that bush. Initially, very good read from Vanir. They opt in for a play where they know Viking cannot stick around after getting the poke. Nilly is first on the move, and you talked about both mid laners blowing flash earlier this time around, favoring Kevo. I think Kevo saw this on a did see this on Vision over the blast cone with the ward. Actually not too sure what went down there, but just run straight up into the locks and does not help him in this matchup. Yes, you get the drag, yes, you get the kill, but the gold lead is still in favor of Dusty, and I think most of that is sitting at the Caitlyn right now. I don't know if we can actually take a look at the gold. I may have to hold on to that because Alif's in issues.
Alif's in for a whole world of hurt here. Gonna get CC'd, gonna get knocked up, gonna get bot back, throws the cast to try and get a bit of space, and here comes Viking trying to find an escape. The Stormbringer from Noodle will secure the kill as Viking seeing if he can turn it around. Conqueror stacked, but can't find the dash. No ultimate available. Doesn't want to risk it. And that's just another kill for Vanir.
Yeah, not only that, it's because of the level advantage right now from Noodle. Remember when we were talking about Viking? He was going for early ganks towards the bot side. He didn't clear his Grump. He didn't clear his Wolves. And because of this, he was lacking on the tempo advantage as well. When he came up for the top side gank as well, was late to the play, kill got over to Nilla and Noodle. And that's just giving them a little advantage that in a small minute mark you were able to utilize, because right now Viking has hit that level 6. Was that the difference maker? We don't know, but it potentially could have been.
There's a big difference between the junglers level and experience-wise, but Venza is alleviating that somewhat, has a slight lead over Kevo. Viking being spotted out here by Zahira and Nilly, but it's going to be okay, not going to get caught off for the moment. And Backland's just trying to get a grip of the mid lane. Going to shove this in, so now it's his turn to move over and try and contest these objectives, but the crab has already been picked up. Meanwhile, FTG actually goes for the flash, finds the route onto Quicksef, but Quicksef was able to flash away to safety as well. They were looking for some action, and now Venz has to be careful. A lot of damage coming in. Prismatic Barrier from FGG will get a bit of a shield off onto Venz to make sure it's not too nasty of a trade.
All it really takes is just one binding to hit, and then you're over. It's going to be into the trap, the E, the headshot, Q, Pills of a Peacemaker, all of it just raining down on you. So it really is a battle of just not being able to make one mistake. It comes down to a lot of movement, but Quickset and Kevo, despite being pushed down in the laning phase, they are relentless now 9 minutes into the game, trying to take control back in this game.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Morgana lane. It's just light instead of dark, I guess.
Yeah,
binding lands, somebody is probably going to lose most of their health bar, if not all of it. Elif once again, under fire.
This time around.
Noodle trying to keep that 100% kill participation, misses out on the cast, but they're going to be able to find the stun, even with the flash. Noodle not got the ultimates, though, not feeling that tower dive yet. And oh
my word, but more people are coming down. What's the response play here? Zahira is backing, he does not have TP. Viking is around, but it's only a small minion wave. And finally, the bot lane of Jinx and Karma shows their presence and is able to remain stable for themselves, while on the other side of the map, Noodle and Nilla, they're utilizing their pressure to pick up the first neutral objective, or actually second neutral objective for themselves in the Rift Herald.
I think the big difference between these two junglers when you look at it is what Noodle's done with his ganks. Viking's always been a little bit too slow to the play, so hasn't been able to gain anything.
Yes.
Noodle's been very active on the map. This has resulted in a Rift Herald, this has resulted in a Dragon, and it's resulted in, you know, and not a massive gold lead, but that gold lead can be blown open now because of the resources he's been able to afford his team. So Definitely a bit of Noodle's kind of impact on the map has definitely played a lot more into this game, even though Venza's been having a very good laning phase.
It's a really good shout here, Brain, and I think we're only going to be seeing more of that now when the Stormbringer is active now. Noodle, if you can get mid lane priority again with Tahira, you start moving him around, and you move it down to the bot lane now with this pressure, because Venza, FGG, they're already struggling now in the 2v2. You bring one more member, that's going to be over with them. So for the side of Dusty, you really need to have your vision control down and on point to make sure that you don't find yourself in any nasty situations.
Well, they're looking for something, but the ward will spot them out. But Kevo's still feeling it. The flash over the binding, straight to the Lux's face. FGG dunked by the rocket, and Venza's going to flash away. The tower's turned off as it comes back in on, and here comes Viking. Ace in the hole into Quickstep. The flash forward into the ultimate from Viking. Trying to find this knock-up, able to get it, and that's the shutdown for Venza. Backlund now making his way over. Needs to find this bubble onto one of these key members. Jumps in forward, and that's a double kill for Venza. Kevo will survive, but a lot of gold just injected into that Caitlyn.
Yeah, Viking was once again behind on the play, but that's the mid diff coming in. Backlund with the priority. He's able to move first, and he's the difference maker. Kevo still on the turret.
Yeah, it's doing a lot of damage though, but Venza's got the red buff. The Piltover Peacemaker does so much damage. Woo, that was close.
And that was 2 TPs coming through as well, trying to remain with the AD carry alive. So both Nilla and Sahira essentially wasted their teleports. Let's have a look at the play once again, because initially it's very beautiful by Noodle. They know the Lux does not have flash from the former skirmish, but the problem is they commit too much on this play. They don't have full river control. They get the intel now that the Zoe is moving as well, but it's already too late. Viking comes in with the Crescent Strike, and once this is down, there's nothing you can do as a Karma and as a Jinx. The plays continue. No summoner spell on the Karma. As soon as she's stunned by the dash, there's nothing you can do.
Absolutely flawless play there as we're back into the action for the Dragon spawning up. 1,700 health on it. Both junglers waiting around. They find the stun into Backlund. Look for Elif. There's the final spark into the cast. And just like that, Dusty are looking for their opportunity to turn this around. Viking, very low HP though, needs to keep running away. Look at Quickstep's health bar. The Dragon is secured by Dusty in the middle of the action as Backlund trying to find the kill. One more glitter will be enough. Kevo will lose his life. And Dusty just walk away with that team fight.
Feels like that fight could have gone either way. It was insanely scattered, but in the end, it does go in the favor of Dusty. They pick up the Drake for themselves. Credit to Venza for that one. And they get the priority. They get to push in the mid lane. They get to push in the bot side, and they get to have favorable resets. Let's have a look at that replay against once again, because they just get caught up by bindings and a lot of CC. It just looks super disjointed, like they didn't get proper control of the river. Viking just barely goes down to the Q of the on, and that could have been the difference maker if Kevo got a reset, got excited. Noodle still trying to stay in the Drake pick, trying to get the Drake, but does not have that smite, and Kevo, he's just caught in a really bad position.
Nice ace in the hole. Not quite enough damage, but you're seeing already half health from Backlund with the sleep and the Q. I'm going to find a scatter of the week as the unleashed power hits Elif, but not going to be able to get anything more as a bunch of plates are picked up in the mid lane at least.
And let's hover the gold right now, because I do think that's going to be one member who's got a little bit more than anyone else. And yes, it is the Caitlyn. It's the exact target you wanted on the side of Dusty. 4-0 now, 450 shutdown goal. You need to play around this AD carry now. You need to start giving Venza resources.
It's one of those things as well where might have to hold that because Noodle might just jump onto Venza's face. Teleports are coming in, but he ain't going to be able to survive this one. Kevo gets the shutdown. Flash over the wall by FGG, misses out on the binding. Backlund looking for the bubble, and that's going to go wide. Dusty expelled a lot there and got nothing in response.
Yeah, Vanir decided to give the Caitlyn resources instead, and in turn just got the shutdown for themselves. They're going to be able to push in the bottom side, and honestly, little bit of a blunder for Dusty. As soon as you come out of this play, you want to be the one who's set up, because remember, they got the kills, they got the Drake, they got the lanes pushed in, and they got the tempo advantage, but they were the slowest for that play when every team were out on the map again.
Yeah, they were a bit... Venza was a little bit too overextended on his own underneath his tower. Sure, but it's a volley bear, so, you know, able to turn those towers off
there is no
real
tower.
hard.
That is the real deal against the volley bear. Just ignore that tower. It doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you think you're safe.
But you're not.
Then you forget he's an ohm wrecker, but a champion.
Oh, yeah. It's true. I honestly missed that item just a little bit. I like the
No one but Trick2G used that item. What are you talking about?
I mean, I thought it was really fun because it was never used, and because it was never used as an item, people never expected it.
Yeah, that's fair.
When you just rushed it before Mythics were a thing, and you could allow yourself to rush these kind of items, no one expected you to just run down the turret. But enough of that. I think it's just a really bad base, what do you say?
Stats.
Yeah, as well.
I was going to ask you what item you miss the most is.
I mean, I do miss TFG, honestly.
I kind of miss ZZ Rock before it got ruined.
Yeah, well, wait, which CC Ross? Are you talking about Zeke's? Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't.
There was that stage where everyone built it and it was unfun, but when it was like a niche item, I really miss it. It was such a fun item.
Just to take it back into the game real quick, because Rift Herald is spawning in less than 1 minute here. They were trying to set up a little dive here on the bot side, but once again, the waves are never fully stacked from the side of Dusty. They just fast shove the waves, and that gives them less time to work around with, and that gives time to Vanir to scatter across the bot lane as well. But once again, the pressure has been applied. And
FGG. Oh, good binding. He's going to be okay.
They should be able to break down the turret. And yes, he is fine. He is A-OK. And Rift Herald has now spawned, which means that teams should be making their way up to the top side of the map in just a minute.
Yeah, you can see backline's already first into mid, so should be able to set this lane up. It has to be careful, because here comes the ultimate from Nilly. They got the scatter, they've got the damage. With the Bellows breath, down goes backland.
Nil has really been a hero with his rotation. It's the second time now that we've seen him move down as a top laner as the only one, while Alib's on a reset timer. And it's really cheating the little tempo that you get here on the map that now allows them to have a man advantage. 20 seconds on backline means that he's not going to be able to be a part of this play. And because of that, it should just be Rift Herald being picked up to Vanir, putting them in a good position now that the next Drake is coming up in 1 minute, because it allows you to bring that extra man to create priority in a lane.
See where they decide to go use that. Could use it mid just to open that up for themselves. Or it looks like the option is probably going to be top. That's where they're leaning everybody. There's no response really from Dusty of an Elif, but don't think you really want to contest this on your lonesome.
He's not alone. There is members moving up. Venza, FGG coming around for the play as well.
Oh no, the dunk! Lovely pick up. The tower will go down, but are able to answer out with a support kill in response. The question is what are you going to gain from this? Because now Dusty, they were slow on the rotation top side. Look what's spawning up in 7 seconds time. They've now got to quickly run all the way back down towards the bottom side if they want to contest this.
Yes, but it is just for sure still a winning play from the side of Dusty. They get to punish Quickset. They get to take control over the Drake area right now. And the crucial part is something you don't often take into consideration. If you kill the support, you create the...
Oh no. Oh no, Venza. Oh no, Venza.
What just happened there for Venza? Steps way too far forward. And just like that, the priority we talked about to Drake has now flipped its head onto Vanir's side instead.
Well, the big thing is you're basically missing like what, the 1,000, 2,000 gold lead that you have on Venza.
Yes.
That's pretty much the gold lead between the teams. So that gold lead is just gone.
Exactly, and it is a 4v5, so essentially even more, I understand your analogy here, but even more pressure over to the side of Vanir as well now.
He was the carry. He was the chosen one.
Oh, Anakin, no.
But he wasn't on the high ground. Down goes the tower in the mid lane, and it looks like this dragon probably just going to be a freebie with the death of Venza. Dusty not really feeling like contesting it. It is a Cloud Drake, so it's not the most important one. And with the fact that Dusty have already secured the second dragon of the game, Soul's a little ways off. It's a Cloud Soul, so I'm curious what you think about the Cloud Soul on these teams, because I think Cloud Soul's situationally good. I'm not sure if this team uses Cloud Soul that well.
The thing is, yeah, especially against the team that you have right now in Dusty, it's not your favorite Cloud. It's not your favorite Soul to get.
Yeah.
A lot of these ultimates are finishers. Zoe is to get in. She uses that for movement speed. That's great, but quite often she uses her ultimate multiple times in a row, and the Cloud Soul is going to go cooldown like that. Caitlyn's ultimate is quite often a finisher as well. Same goes for FGG's ultimate on Deluxe. You can argue that it's more beneficial from Viking to stick on targets and for Alif, but it's definitely not the maximum utilization of Cloud Soul that we would like on other compositions.
Yeah, I don't feel there's neither team really is massively keen on it. So, tower number 1 in the bot lane, or tier 1 as we call it normally, not just number 1, is under fire here as backline looking for the bubble. Not going to be able to hit it, and the wave's going to get cleared out by Sahira, but Viking not actually feeling this.
And honestly, great hover from Sahira here. It's something we often see mid laners screw up a little bit, is the fact that they hover to the right or left side at the wrong moment. when your team is committing your vision and your play on the right side of the map, your mid laner always needs to have a right side, because if you're staying on the left, it's way easier for your opponent to get a pick off of you. So great utilization of positioning there from Sahira to just keep himself safe while picking up the mid lane wave.
I mean, let's talk vision, because it is lit up on that bottom side of the map, but very lit up for the side of Vanir on, for the side of Dusty on the other side. Although some of those wards have timed out since I mentioned that. But the resets are coming in. They're probably just going to look to get a grip of the vision once again. Question is where do they want to play for? Because it's a while until the next dragon. I don't know if either team has a particularly fast Baron yet.
Not
fairly
yet.
early days.
Exactly. It's definitely not yet, especially because Kevo hasn't even finished his second item.
Yeah.
And is he building Infinity Edge second item?
I think that's Bloodthirster. He's got a longsword, right?
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
If he goes Infinity Edge, it could be the GP build, where now he just buys Infinity Edge and then just slaps a couple of things in.
I don't think that's going to be the case, but the reason why I was questioning that a little bit is because obviously Infinity Edge only has its full value once you get 3 items.
Oh, backline constant again knocked up, but they're turning it around into the face of Venza. He tries to jump out and Noodle launches forwards. Got the backup of the rest of the team, and Vikings ultimate's about to time out, so the rest of the team are going to flash forward. Viking flashes away to safety. Quickstep going a little bit low. Backline does have that flash. If he goes for it, ooh. If he pressed that, I actually think Quickstep died.
Yeah, because Kevin was not looking to block that at all, so that could have been the play for sure. Quickstep tanking up Baron. So what he tried to do was Mantra, W, get HP back, but still very early in the game, so the Baron does a lot of damage to you in that regard.
Yeah.
And just like that, we're back on the map once again. It seems like both teams right now are just playing for control of the map. So it's not essentially an objective we're playing for right now, but it's more like we want to push you as far back as possible to put ourselves in a good position once we get to that next neutral objective. Because all teams right now has taken care of their side lane turrets. For Dusty, they still need to take care of that mid lane turret. And it's a little bit of thorn in their side because it means they can never really fully utilize their pressure they create on side lanes, because it's easier for Vanir's mid laner to move first because that outer mid lane turret is still standing and giving them some safety to move from.
That was a tank, by the way. Backline will do a fair amount of damage. Hasn't actually finished up the Horizon's focus as the next item. Pretty much the expected item, though, when you are...
I want to talk about something, actually, because that's the Sonya's Hourglass on Noodle.
Oh!
So he's ready to just completely, like a bear on a springboard, launch into the enemy team and just Sonya himself up immediately.
That's a big springboard, homie.
That is a big springboard, especially when you consider how much he grows in size.
Yes, true.
I mean, that's at least maybe 100 square meters? I don't actually know. Like
100 square meters.
Have you seen how big he is when he ults?
I don't know how big he is in lore. I think he's actually huge, isn't he?
Yeah, he's supposed to be like this thunder god.
Yeah. He's big. Big boy. And funny as well, because he actually got a lot of AP scaling. That shield actually does a little bit more damage and actually gives him a slightly larger shield now.
Yeah, his passive is AP scaling as well with the lightning strike as well. But enough of that. Bloodthirster was the second item for Kevo as well. Drake, 45 seconds for it to respawn. So the last respawn timers need to come through now. And this could not just be a battle where you kind of want to threaten the enemy team and say, okay, if you go too far towards the Baron or too far towards the Drake, we'll move our pieces up towards the Baron, and then one of you will have to come and contest that. I think it's still too early in the game, though, to fully bluff that play. But Dusty seems like they're the one who came up the reset timers first. Because of that, they are just hammering in on the mid lane. But Nille, like the big frontliner he is under tank, they're not afraid to step up, and they take care of that wave. So we're back to just fight for the pressure and priority around the Drake.
Well, here comes the call of the Forge God from Nille, looking for the redirect. Viking's going to get bopped up. Noodle's going to jump in. The Zap does no damage thanks to the Crescent Guard. And it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but that's a good bubble. This could be the end. The final spark and pop goes Quickstep. The shielding is too big and he's all right. Able to just about limp out of there. Now Nille's getting jumped onto. Viking's going to get CC'd and up goes the Volley Bear. The big rocket comes in and Viking is splashed by the damage. What? A scatter the weak. Dusty are just melting. They are falling apart at the seams as Elif will slowly but surely be cooked down. A double kill for Kevo.
Brilliant setup there, and you said it, this scatter of the week was beautiful as well. Yes, Noodle has gone down, but so has Viking, so has Venza, so has Aliv, and surely so will the third Drake for Vanir, putting them on soul point.
Absolutely beautiful from Sahira. Scattered through 3 members. Look at this fight.
Let's have a look at that, as you said, once again, because initially it's actually a great bubble from Backland, catching out Quickset. And then I actually think it's a bit of a blunder for FGG to ult before the paddle star connects. Because that extra sleep damage from the Zoe with the paddle star probably would have finished it off. It means Quickset gets to stay around in the fight. He's going to make his way around and just be a nuisance with the shield on the side. But as you said yourself, this scatter is what really makes and break this fight and puts Vanir in a favorable position to clean it up. And then a double kill for Kevo in the end really puts him back into the game after having had a rough laning phase.
Yeah, and it's one of those things now, he's almost on that Infinity Edge, got the BF sword in the inventory off the back of that fight. Once that comes through, that's when the big power spike comes out from Kevo. And with the fact that he's gone Bloodthirster, there's a lot of AT to get buffed up by these crits. As Vikings actually jumped into Kevo. Kevo Gale forces away, dodges out in the final spark, and this fight is getting real messy already. Elif gets a couple of bits of CC thrown into him, but Viking's going to jump into Zahira. There's the ultimate coming out from Zahira, trying to find that follow-up damage as Viking is low. The Triumph is going to heal him up, and they miss out on the abilities. Look at the damage as Dusty are trying to turn this around. Down goes Noodle. He just falls apart like that. And Dusty might have their opportunity to start up this Baron, but remember, you've got that Super Mega Death Rocket. Can do a lot of damage inside the pit. Elif's going to get it eaten. Well, Elif's going to eat it, so he's going to be okay. And this might just be a free dragon. FGG with the binding going to land onto Quickseth. And Quickseth's going to probably lose his life. A good flash out to safety. And Vanir, they can't do anything. They can't contest it. So this Baron is a freebie.
There's nothing to do about that situation. And Dusty finding an excellent punish on Vanir that's overextended in the river. Finding Zahira there is crucial. It's your main line of disengage and engage as well, together with Nilla and Noodle. So picking them off was a really big play from the side of Dusty, and it kind of just puts the gold lead back in their favor now. 3k gold lead, 3 items now finished on Venser. And surely you can finally start taking down that third mid lane turret that's just been waiting around, idling for so long.
It was a bit of a slower start to this game. We kind of expected that. But now that we've kind of hit beyond that 25-minute mark, it's getting really scrappy. These teams are constantly looking to fight one another. If Cloud Soul does get picked up for Vanir, obviously things like Zahira getting caught out is a little bit harder to do just because of the bonus movement speed he'll have.
But still, 2k gold lead for Venser. So a lot of that gold lead we were talking about, it still is in the AD carry. If you get backline access, you take Venser down, you can still win the fights for Vanir. But right now, I want to see how Dusty starts dissecting these turrets, because we want to see them take control of the map now finally. And we don't want to see them be too over-aggressive. Take your time to shove in the waves, get control of the enemy jungle, wait for camp respawn timers, take them away from the enemy, and just keep slowly but surely picking away these objectives that can give you a neutral way back into the game, because taking a jungle camp away from your enemy is not only gaining something, it's also stealing something away from your enemy. And you're not going to end with this Baron. It's going to come down to this next Drake fight.
Yeah, this Baron is the one where you try to blow the gold lead open with it. The next one is the one where you try to win the game. 1 minute 30 till the Dragon like you're saying. So this is probably where our next bit of action is going to break out. Vanir are going to take this opportunity to get onto the map and clear out some of the vision, maybe steal away this blue buff and deny that from backline so he doesn't have constant mana to poke with. So actually a nice little denial there. Give them over to Kevo. Means he has a lot of rockets he can use. They've placed their wards. It's their turn to reset and get prepped for this fight. If this is almost an Infinity Edge or an Infinity Edge base for Kevo, that's really, really big. It's only the components, so not on that Infinity Edge. I think if you had that, you're pretty much in a very comfortable position because Venser's finished his.
Yeah, Ornaments has come through though as well, so that Gale Force has been upgraded as well, and now with the Baron buff, they're able to push Vanir as far behind into their base as you can, just waiting outside the inhibitor turrets here. And that's essentially what you want. You want to push them in, you want to take control of the red side jungle, straight outside the Drake pit, and you just want to keep them as far away from the Drake as possible before it spawns, so it's easy for you to pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously getting those ornaments does give you kind of like half an item roughly in stats. Typhoon finished up onto Kevo. I don't know who else. They've got the Frozen Fist one, which I can't remember what that one's called upgraded.
Is it not just called Frozen Fist now when it's upgraded?
I think that might be it, yeah. Because it's Iceborne Gauntlet otherwise.
Well, no, it's not.
No, it's not. What's it called?
Frostfire.
Frostfire Gauntlet, that's the chap.
And just like this, there is still wards behind them. The Drake area is not properly cleaned out here by Dusty. You can see it. There's
teleport
all over the place, but this should be spotted. No, they're not actually reacting to it. Okay, pings are coming out, so they are seeing it. But right now, Drake has spawned. Mid lane is in control of Vanir. But will they face check or will they give up the objective?
I mean, they don't have to contest this. This is only the second one for Dusty. If they don't feel comfortable, they don't have to go for it.
Oh no, he's
There's the
sleeping!
sleep. He's cast into the middle of the team, but they're jumping onto Elif in the meanwhile. The traps go down. Noodle's doing as much damage as possible. Dragon's picked up, and they get the ace in the hole, they get the ultimate, they get the sleep, they get everything onto Nilly. Kevo's trying to get away, and now it's going to be one dead bear. Just like that, Dusty find themselves their kill. Vanir running away. Let's see if they can make their way out of this one. Scatter the Weak goes wide. Kevo's trying to just find the slows. Baron's not up for a little while. But this has been really costly. That's the long-range bubble. Forces the flash over the wall. Kevo's getting the rocket off. Elif still able to tank a lot of that, though. And Backline's just trying to find a little bit of additional damage. Vanir just about limp out of that.
Yeah, and they get the kill. Now they're able to pick up the jungle. They get the red buff. They get the Crocs. They get to push in all the lanes. And it's putting them in a favorable position for the next objective, which, of course, is the Baron. This is what it's all led up to. And you say to yourself, Jake, you don't need to go for this one, and realistically speaking, I don't think you have an avenue to actually commit to it. Look at how tanky Alif is as well. He's going to stay like that until you finally get an LDR on Kevo. So you're just not in a position where your items are facilitating the ideas that you want to commit for. Noodle with flash, or not with flash, but with ultimate, get caught off guard as well, and it's just Dusty taking control of the map. Now we want to see them start take control of the top side of the map, push once again Vanir as fast back as possible, because it's Baron setup time with 1 minute for that respawn.
Yeah, this is the one you need to contest. And
Exactly.
this time, Kevo has the Infinity Edge. You got the Void Staff on to Sahira, so there's a lot of burst potential, and that can help deal with the likes of Elif and Viking.
Because what combo composition is Dusty right now, Jake?
Well, they're front to back.
Yeah, well, it's a siege composition,
Well,
really.
Siege, sorry. I don't know. I was talking team fight, but yes, they are a
Yes,
Siege.
exactly, and that's exactly why we need the Baron buff on them as well, because
Yes.
if they finally start picking this up, it becomes super difficult. Like, you will need to find the perfect gain with the Ornn ultimate, but there's flashes on Venser, there's flashes on Backline, and if you can get rid of these summoner spells before the big fight breaks out, you should be able to pilot it as Dusty, unless the hero finds that beautiful scatter again.
Yeah, it feels like that was the last like big team fight
Exactly.
moment for Vanir, and then since then it's kind of just been, ooh, this has been a bit rough. Looking to take this tier 2 turret, should be able to do so. The sleep will land on to Nilly, but Nilly relatively tanky at this point. Got a fair amount of resists and just health to be able to keep himself up. Not got that level 16, so wants to try and find another person to give an upgrade to. Obviously, the Luden's Tempest has been upgraded on to Sahira, so a little bit of additional damages. Backline finds the sleep. That's only onto 1. Knock up lands. Scatter lands onto 2 as well. Viking already half HP. Nearly's tanking a lot. Finds himself the charge. There's the flash in, and the fight is getting real hairy, real quick. Elif has to flash out instantly as Viking's taking fire under fire. Noodle jumps out. There's the final spark. Nearly's just going to flash away, and Noodle continues the chase, looking for FGG. He's pinned. He flashes. He's out. The bubble hits nobody, and Vanir can't quite find the damage, can't quite find the kill. Ace in the hole, blocked up, not by Kevo, because he's gonna just completely fumble that one, but the shield was enough from Quicksef. That bubble could be problematic, but no, Vanir have the inside track onto Baron Nashor.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any TP wards behind him. I know there's a blue ward, but no, it seems like they're just going to TP on the minion wave, and this one's going to go down fast. It's already half HP. I don't think they can contest it.
No, I don't think they can. This has to be a bloody miracle. Bubble is going to hit onto someone. No, it doesn't. Great traps as well, but Backline's not willing to give this up. Scatter the Weak comes out, and Backline's trying to find a little bit of additional poke. Flashes with the fake flash. Bubble doesn't hit, and Dusty just have to call it quits. Unless Kevo... No, don't worry, they're fine.
And just like that, Dusty back in the game. They're still at a gold deficit, but surely with these Baron up minions, they're going to be having a harder time dealing with the pressure that Vanir is applying on the map. And Dusty, I cannot believe that no one died in that team fight leading up to Baron. Venser barely got away. FGG barely got away. 1 reset for Kevo. That could have been more than just an ace in the hole. That could have been the entire ace for Vanir there.
That's just all that shielding for both sides coming in real big
so
there.
much movement speed as well with the Karma, Mantra, E. Perfect timing. But now, with the resets, they're just going to be moving down mid. Even if they can't end here, there's 50 seconds on the Drake, which should be in favor of Vanir.
And we talked a little bit a minute ago about how Dusty, they have the sieging comp, so they want Baron. Let's see how the sieging comp can handle the siege itself. They do obviously have the range to try and poke these Vanir members out, but I worry because they've obviously got Zoe, who's AP. She's going to struggle to clear the waves just because of the extra magic resist onto the minions. It's going to be a hard one.
Let's take a look at the state as well, because mid lane keeps getting pushed in. Here's the Ornn ultimate, no flash on Venser.
Oh, the cask is huge. Elif may just have saved the day with that one.
Yeah, he saved it for now, but the pressure, it's still colliding down on them. Just like a hydraulic press. You're crumbling under it. Bot lane is pushed in. Mid lane pushed in. Vision control is still in favor of Dusty, actually. But whenever they want to, when this Drake spawns, Vanir, they're just going to be making their move in there.
Oh, Noodle's taking a lot of
damage.
Whoa, Viking slides in. Now there's going to have to be Noodle jumping out with the Sky Splitter. Viking getting slowed up, but the Crescent Guard's keeping him alive. Elif lands the body slam. A massive Everfrost. The Rocket's not really going to do too much, but they find the knock-up in response onto Elif. He's scattered. They find it onto Venza as well, but there's no follow-up available. Once again, nobody dies in the middle of the fight, and Dusty should be able to secure this dragon.
They can destroy the Drake, but can they defend their base? Because minion wave are still coming down that mid lane. You can see Quickset. He's going to try and stop Reset Timer. He stops FTG. Can't stop the rest of them. And here in the mid lane, they are just tanking it up. They don't care about the minion wave. They're going to be taking their inhibitor turret, and surely they're going to be picking up the inhibitor at the same time as well.
Both teams are now on Cloud Soul point. It is so close. It's not the most impactful dragon, but this dragon still has offered us a lot of action this game. The Baron Empowered Recalls come in. Vanir are going to spend up that money, and it's actually going to be the Rapid Fire Cannon fourth for Kevo, so not going for that LDR, not looking to deal with these tankier members. Obviously, he doesn't actually really have any attack speed. This is the first attack speed item he's picked up.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. There is attack speed a little bit in Gale Force, so I suppose, but
yeah,
seal item, I suppose what you mean. I understand what you mean exactly. But I want to go back to your point about the Drakes, because as you said, they haven't picked up a soul for themselves, Dusty themselves, now on the third point as well. But it's the fact Vanir stacked them up this early that every time that 4th-1 spawned on the map for them, Dusty had to respawn. They couldn't do anything. They could not just give it over. And that's allowed Vanir to go down the mid lane, for example. It's allowed them to create other plays instead because they had this extra pressure that Dusty had to deal with on the map. But now, they're just going to be looking for the siege instead. Sahira pushed up the topside turret, mid lane prio gotten, and Kevo and the rest of the gang moving up to join them.
And it's a Jinx as well, so these towers will start to crumble. Might not be in that LDR, but still 4-item Jinx will absolutely liquefy these towers. Here comes the call of the Forge God. Nilly gonna redirect it into one. The rocket goes through the goalpost, and Elif jumps in. Kevo has to jump out. He's just about to survive. Kevo can maybe heal up. He's got the red buff. He finds himself a quick kill. The ace in the hole, blocked out by Sahira. Trying to find the slow. A little bit more sustain is available to them. Elif comes in, scatter the weak. Gonna just disengage momentarily. Only one person goes down. These fights are just so crazy.
Elif was so close of making that the best hero play we've seen in this game so far. The fact he gets access to Kevo, while Kevo still has this flash and knocks him into the enemy team and no one's able to equalize on it, punish on that play, absolutely absurd. And they still get out with only the cost of their tank.
Oh, baby. Death time is still fairly long, but there's no objectives to take yet. You've got the Baron in 1 minute 30, Dragon Soul in 2 minutes 30, and Nilly will be back on the map in time to deal with that one.
Almost hitting that 40-minute mark. Venza now picked up the more of Mortius, and now as a 4th item, that magic damage shield you're going to be getting, that's essentially your entire HP with that base AD scaling you now have on that item. So Sahira, he's going to have a hard time finding Venza with those scattered of the weeks, which essentially means
teleport.
you're going to be looking
double teleport,
double TP. He's going to go.
Oh, what a sleep. That's going to stop the call of the Forge God. Nilly gets the redirect. Vikings popped up. They're looking to pin him in places. Quickstep has to be very, very careful. Oh my word, these fights are just so... They're hairy, but nobody's going down.
Exactly, and they're created out of nowhere as well because they didn't even have the side lane priority from the side of Vanir. It's Dusty who's pitched in the lane, but they just opted in for going for crazy TP. If they get a pick there, if they get a kill, that could essentially be the game, especially when they already have a mid lane inhibitor down.
Venza's full build as well, by the way. Absolutely as strong as this Caitlyn can get. Obviously, he does still want to get 16 for that 3rd point in the ace in the hole. But this, I genuinely think this Bloodthirster saved Vanir the game. Because think how low Kevo went. He was able to survive, but look at the flank from Elif. Looking for Kevo. Traps go down. Misses out with the Everfrost. They find themselves asleep. Onto the Ornn. The Bellows Breast only going to do so much. He's bought back into the middle of the team. The scout of the week. Not going to do enough. Just like that, Nilly goes down. And the Baron is up. This is catastrophic for Vanir.
But what does this mean about the mid lane priority? Because there's still supers coming in here. How fast can you take care of this Baron? I think the question will be semi-fast. You can see Vanir right now just moving
Hero
in.
play?
Noodle is still alive, and they have no vision around him right here. They could just get the vision with the E. Noodle could jump in.
He's got him. He's over the wall. There's no way he can get inside the pit. The scatter the weak almost did it, but there's the laser beam cooking down Kevo. Ace in the hole onto Quickstep is going to get a double kill. What a fucking sidestep. Sahira now going unbelievably low. Elif's going to chase him down. He finds the slow, he finds the stopwatch, but it's not going to be enough. Backline finds the kill. Vanir are slaughtered.
And just like that, they're going to be able to push in the minion waves, but they don't have a minion wave in mid. They will have one coming in from bot, though. 5 seconds on Nilla, the tank, but they barely have any wave clear. It's going to be up to the frontliners. Noodle, Nilla, what can they do in this situation? 20 seconds on Kevo. That's what you need to hold on for.
Nilly's in the base, but I just don't think he has it. Kevo, can he respawn in time? Fair amount of damage coming in from Noodle. The bubbles down. That's big. Nilly can go for the ultimate. Gonna do so. Looking for the redirect. Misses it because of the cast. Elif is saving the day here.
3 seconds on Kevo.
Now Kevo's almost back up, but they've already lost the big bear. Quicksteps here. The rocket comes down, but Viking will block it out. Now he's gonna have to take so much damage. Kevo, Gale forces forward, but the ace holds to seal the deal. There's the ace. Vanir, they are out. A quadra kill for Venza. And down goes the Nexus. Dusty will take the game.
It looks like they want the Penta, at least try and go for it here. Let's see. Nah, okay, because 1 second wasn't Sahira, but Dusty, they finally clean up the game in a game that was a back and forth once again between Vanir and Dusty. What's a banger?
That was an absolute banger to start on as well. Such messy fights constantly. I can't believe we had like 4 or 3 fights,
but I love
no one
the way
died.
they work with each other. And Elif on that Gragas, one of the best weak side Gragas we've seen in a while. He's played his rolled out to perfection. The disengage, the engage when he finally found it, stopping these all ultimates to coming through. Realistically speaking, the only thing that allows you to get a backline access because of the long range between you. Brilliant game. I loved it.
Elif carried. I think it's
great on that
genuinely Elif carried that game. Anyway, we're going to throw to a break, and when we're back, Arkarom will talk to some of the players after that game. But first, time for some breaks. Ads, whatever.
What a good day to start this day with a massive clash between Dusty and Vanir going back and forth every single time throughout the game. It was an exciting one, but at the end, Dusty were capable of bringing yet another W home, which means on the standings, they're rising up. The team can defeat anyone, just as Viking told us in the beginning of the split. And there we go. This is Dusty at 100% power. At least maybe it is. Who knows? I know I have with me the top laner, played the Gragas, Elif, for the interview. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, massive game by you guys. It was awesome to watch as a League of Legends fan. Also, okay, let's go into this because I have a lot of questions for you, man. Okay. Gragas to the top lane. Instantly, everybody on the studio was like, oh, this is Elif, this is his Gragas, this is going to be massive. But on the lane, it didn't went as he wanted. Did it?
No, I mean, not really. Like, I think I didn't play the lane that well. Plus the fact that I got ganked like twice and I got a bit behind. But like, I had more CS than my opponent, so like, I take it.
But at the end, when the team fights happened, that was the Elif we're customized to nowadays, and you were massive. By the way, message from Trouble. She told me to tell you, you are F good at Gragas. This is like a side note. She told me to tell you this, okay? Every single time you guys went on a team fight, you were like, not only with Viking, the front line for the team, but also the massive displacement, getting all the cooldowns soaked by you. How is it to be a top laner and actually control the team fight versus the enemy? How do you do this as a Gragas?
I mean, by the way, you look at like the two comps. We have like Caitlyn, Lux, and Zoe, so like very long range, and like their only tool to engage is the Arnold. So like my only job in the team fight is just to cancel the Arnold, and then we should be chilling. Like if we have the position first on objectives, like with the traps and poke on Zoe, like we should be getting the objective like 9/10 out of 10, I think. And like I think the rest of the team fight is if I see a good opportunity for like a E-flash or an ult on a carry, I do it. But otherwise, I think just saving it to cancel Ornn is like the main objective for me.
There you go. Everybody, this is on the top laners, but we are really important. We do stuff on the lane and also on the team fights. Looking into the team now, the way Dusty are playing seem more like the synergy is top-notch. The communication seems way better nowadays. Is this something that you guys were struggling at the beginning and now you finally get the gist of the team? Or what is happening with the team? Because it seems way more solid nowadays.
I think we improved our communication for sure. I think like having more trust on everyone and like practicing like the same comps kinda like that builds experience. So like we're just like more comfortable to pull it out on official matches. And I think yeah, it's come down to experience and trust.
You guys are now locked in the middle of the pack. Everybody's fighting for the same spots on the playoffs. Tell me, do you believe the team will be able to get to the playoffs?
I mean, we're all playing for it, so of course.
Oh, easy. There we go. One question that I have for you, I think this is the last one. What was that Pantheon over?
That was just a shout out. Like, I know you love Pantheon, so I wanted to show it.
I know it's really rough to play Pantheon. He's not on a good position right now. He's not that good, but I love it. Thank you so much for that. And also, really good job. And it's good to see you do what you do, man. It's really lovely to see it. Good job.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. There you go. Dusty just locking it up and getting another victory. This is a good statement by the team, showing that they can defeat pretty much everyone. Viking told us if they're on a good day, and I believe they're having a lot of good days lately. Fighting off versus Vanir. Vanir made like the top teams just sweat a lot, and all of a sudden they lose versus Dusty. So this means Dusty is one of the top contenders, at least for the playoffs. Let's see how it goes. But now jumping into the Vanir side, what happened with Vanir? They did an awesome game. No matter where you look from it, like if you look into the beginning of the game, like the early stages of the game, you look into the middle of the game as well, it was really contested, and it's Vanir we're talking about. They're really excited to watch as well. So I have someone special from the Vanir side, which is Fat Legs with us, which is the mental coach. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. I'm really excited to talk with you because it's such a different position, but it's a really important position as well. Can you tell me a little bit more about your job?
Yeah, I specialize in internal narratives that's going on inside our head. So I help some of the coaching staff with creating structures that help the players feel less stress and more control. I assist with some strategies, and I also do the occasional one-on-one sessions with the players themselves.
Can you run me by a daily process of what you do with the players? Do you, like you told me, like isolate a player, see what the issues is going on? How do you work with them? How do you look through as a team as well? Can you run me by a day?
Yes. But it's none of the days are the same, of course. But Vanir right now is very lucky because the individual skill level of our players is really high. So what I mostly focus on is how to communicate and how to listen for useful information in stressful situations instead of listening to what is actually an assumption of what is happening and not the things that are actually happening. It's a very big difference if you make a call based on something you believe will happen versus making a call on something that actually happens.
Another question is, which one is the hardest to actually help the players with the hype for the playoffs when they're just winning nonstop, or when they get into like a loss streak?
That depends. It might be a little bit of both. But my impression is that the mental strength of our players are above average of what I have encountered previously. So what is mostly important then is to help the players not get overhyped when we're on a win streak, for instance, because that could create the feeling of overconfidence, which is not good.
I understand. It's a hard job because you're not dealing with something that you can see instantly. You have to analyze and all that. So it's one that you take a lot of time just by watching at the players before you can actually encounter those issues, right?
Yes, it's by the start of this split, I was mostly observing, trying to figure out the stories the players tell themselves and how they interact with each other, and how the coach talks to the team and what is his plan, because I am more or less a support function. My job is to give support to the rest of the team, and one of the founding pillars of Vanir is mental health. So we offer mental coaching and a focus on mental health to all of the people inside of our organization. So it's not just the NLC team.
Like it. Dude, it was a pleasure to meet you. I really like to know more of these professions and how they can help a professional team. And it seemed like we could see the way Vanir were playing at the beginning of the split and the way they are playing right now. And it's obviously due to mental health as well, which is a really important thing on esports. And I'd like to get more vision on that. So it was a pleasure to meet you. And by the way, good beard, man. You got it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You too, man. There you go. This was the interview for this game. It was a banger of a game. So let's see if the second one is going to be the same or not. So we'll be right back after this short break. I'll see you soon.